Hey there, legendary leader. I am so excited to be back. This is actually yet another video that I created on the same day. Earlier today, I was on the beach, but now it's a bit dark, so that's why I'm indoors. And one of the topics I spoke about earlier today was on the broken system talk, right? So I shared my viewpoints that I feel like as leaders, we actually give up our power to be able to do anything about it when we lean in too much on this notion of working in broken systems. And I was thinking since then, and I got like super excited. I was like, yo, I have to come back on and talk about this some more. So, what if the systems aren't broken? Stay with me. What if the systems are functioning exactly as they were designed to? What if we got it wrong? So, next thought, next question. What is the difference between a broken system and a misaligned system? So, I want to stop and unpack there. And this is, again, my thoughts. It's not scientifically proven or what have you sort of thing. So my thoughts about that is what if we could say define a broken system and to be like super literal, what if we say that broken systems are ways of doing things in an organization that do not meet the mark, the purpose of that system being created or built. So it's broken. You have a goal, you created the system, but you never get to the goal because the system is dysfunctional, or, that word itself means so much to me, but I'm in medical terms as well. But yeah, so that's the broken system, right? You have a purpose that you needed to create, or a desired outcome that you created this system, this way, this guide to get you there. But for whatever reason, you never get to your desired outcome. On the other hand, I have like both hands up at the same time. Can I borrow your hand, please? On the other hand, you have the misaligned system where you, so this system is more of a scenario where you have your purpose or your desired outcome. You have the system that was put in place or built to get you there, and then it's actually doing what you designed for it to do. However, we, let's say leaders, we have this secondary desired outcome for this same one system that only was built with the primary desired outcome in mind. Therefore, it's misaligned to that secondary desired outcome. It's not necessarily broken. It's not made for what else we wish it would do. And so that led me to thinking, so if this is the case, that we've been wrong, and I have no problems with admitting when I am wrong about something, but I like to think outside of the box too. So bear with me. If we are wrong to, or if we are misdiagnosing, going back in my doctor shoes, if we are misdiagnosing or mislabeling the situation, and systems are not broken, then what does that say about us as leaders and legendary leaders at that? to respond to this broken system that we've been talking about all this time. I believe that in that lens, we as the leaders owe it to not just our team or just to our organization at large, but to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves and everyone else who relies on us to challenge this need for a system that is purposed specifically to support us as the workers, rather than merely conforming to the common thought of broken systems. I think by doing that, again, we take back our power, our agency, our authority to, as I've been saying earlier today, craft our best work experience ever. And again, to say it's not in keeping with specific tasks and duties. Like, don't get me wrong, that's all important for your experience. But I mean, some tasks are just exactly what they're going to have to be. It's like I feel like you know what? Something just came to me. What if we categorize our work experience as primary and secondary? And I'm so excited to say, I know the word tertiary. So, ooh, what if we come up with a tertiary? But for now, I want to run too fast, too far. What if we said that the primary, and this is going to like break what you think I'm about to say probably. What if we say, and what I prefer to say, if the primary viewpoint, we'll work on the terminology along the way, guys. What if the primary work experience is actually more human oriented, human centric, with us being the humans, the leaders? And the secondary arm of this work experience is actually the tasks and duties and responsibilities that comes with the job, sort of thing. So I prefer for us to put us first. Let's do that. Leadership is human first. Hello. All right. So let's make first things first. That is a saying. It's like 5:57 p.m. right now. And it's like, yeah, I'm starting to, because I've been working since 7 this morning, like literally working, but I've been up earlier. So yeah, bear with me. Yes, this is gold right here. And the state of our primary work experience will influence our ability to do what's needed and bring forth that secondary work experience. In other words, the way that we prioritize, let's back up. First, become aware, and it's not like we never knew, but to remind ourselves that we are human beings, because it's like we become so desensitized that we wear clothing that We don't think about it all day, every day. Hey, this scrub top is touching my skin. The scrub top is touching my skin. It's like we become so acclimatized to being human that we likely more times than often miss out the unique experience of being human. We kind of downplay it after a while. It's like, hey, this is getting a little mundane and old, nothing new here to report. So, what if we were to elevate and constantly remind ourselves, hey, I'm human. This is like a unique experience in and of itself. Or as I've heard, when I was younger, it's what I make it. Life is what I make it. And that we do have the opportunities to make something of it that would be pleasing to us, that no does not require for us to go through like the red tape or changing big time policies of the company. I believe we can start simple and we could start small as much as possible, make it obtainable. You know what? This is making me think about the Atomic Habits book that I read. I think that was earlier this year. Like I read it through finally for the first time. And I feel like let me just go down the list, the four elements that James Clear described for picking, well, creating new good habits. So make it obvious. Yeah, let's apply this to this situation. Let's make it obvious. Like, how could we make enhancing our work experience super obvious? And that could be as simple as literally having something visual on your desk, or your sneakers. Like if you're someone who, such as myself, you're working in a large hospital and you're up and down on the wards or what have you, sort of thing. Put something fun that when you look down at your feet, you're like, oh, that's my favorite color. Or Crocs, what do they call them, accessory or jewelry or something, like just something that makes you smile or makes you feel like more you, like you're expressing yourself as much as you can. That's within your profession's allowances. Then the second one, and not sure if I'm doing this in full order, but make it easy, where this is where the simplicity of it comes in, I think. So what I described could be something simple. Like we have to wear shoes. I think most of us, all of us, have to wear shoes in the workplace, kind of, unless you're like a, yogi or something. Or simple. Yeah, don't complicate it. And I'm just gonna leave it here open, not wanting to do like too much specifics because my examples, first of all, I can't think of every example, but my examples may not necessarily apply to your type of work or your industry. And then we have the third thing for his list was make it attractive. So something that I think brings you excitement, that is like, oh, hey. Yes, yes. Something that draws you to it, something that attracts you to it, to use a different derivative of the word attractive, which is like a rule I remember um, in academics, like don't define something using some of the word. Hey, what can I say? And then the fourth thing, I know for sure it's the fourth thing because it's like, you know, add a reward to it. Mm. Could you imagine you are crafting your work experience in such a manner that you could also get rewarded every time you either do this thing, or you might just get the reward from the joy of the thing. So, like, for instance, going back to what were we talking about? Sneakers or Crocs or something like that? You might just get joy knowing that you are wearing your favorite brand of sneakers, or you recently went and purchased these croc jewelry studs, sort of thing. That itself might make you feel happy when you look down, despite it being like a super long shift. You might be on call. I'm going like in full blown medical territory right now. Come back, come back. uh yeah, but adding a reward to it too, or like every time you do so, I do enjoy listening to the power pauses that I put together for you every week with the Leadership Reset newsletter. I create a new, fresh power pause audio listen. So whether you are reading the newsletter, you could click on the link and it'll take you where you could listen to the power pause separately on a side. And that one is best for when you do plan to just have a moment to reconnect with yourself and reground with yourself, especially your legendary identity, while on the job as much as possible. And I've tried in the midst of a busy clinic, like just stopping, putting in my uh, headphones, and I do my best to keep them as short as possible. This week's, which is week two, and I know by the time I publish this video, we would be well beyond week two with the newsletter, but this one was a little longer, but either which way, I do enjoy listening to it in the middle of my day and sometimes at the end of my day, just to unwind and in a way like cleanse my nervous system from all of the stimuli of the day that I was exposed to, and keeping in mind the way that it influenced my whole body, my makeup. And I'm thinking of like my personality in general. It could change, but my personality is I'm really easygoing and just the right amount, I think, of joy and delight. And, my energy itself is pretty, I think it's subtle. Those of you watching who know me, you might could help me out here, but it's pretty subtle. Even when I'm excited, I'm not like overly woo, but I'm just so delighted in I think in a little small, subtle way, but still noticeable. I have character. I'm a character. Uh, and when I think about the demands of my day and the high stakes of the kind of work that I do, and having to be on it and, dealing with people's health and their lives ultimately, it's serious stuff. And that could be thought about in other industries as well. So whether it's like finances, is like money, huh, that's serious stuff too. And then teaching, so making sure that you impart the proper facts to your students, especially with the era of information that we're in. So it's like someone could always go on Google and or AI, right? And look it up and challenge you on the spot. So it's a lot of high stakes or high pressure, high stress scenarios that we work with. And just to remove that effect from me instead of allowing it to, I think, seep deeper to my cellular level, as has happened earlier in my career. But now that I'm aware of it, actually, like this is a thing. And this is a topic that I would be diving in deeper to especially with the leadership longevity series of talks that I'm creating. It's a good way to return to your yourself, your, as I call it, who you are, what it is that makes you you, rather than allowing your experience of the day to continue to paint and add layers and gunk on you, and just, shifting the way you think, shifting your experience with other people, especially your loved ones, but goodness, strangers, where you're just not yourself, and you don't even feel good internally. I spoke about that earlier on the beach too, like doing a weather check. I think we should call it like a different thing, not a weather check, like an internal climate. Yeah. Well, I don't want to put myself in like hot water to try and explain the difference between weather versus climate. I think weather is more labile, where, like today, where the sun was out, y'all. I was hot on that beach, but I was loving myself. But right now, it is raining. And again, why I didn't decide to go outside to do this video, I was thinking about it, but it was like, no, it wouldn't be the best lighting. I'm trying to at least, stay as engaged with you as much as possible. And then climate is more like a generalized expectation. So our climate here, hot and humid. So just to do like an internal check and see what am I feeling, and for the purpose of your overall well-being, because once you're aware of what's going on, and deciding, am I okay with this? How long do I want to be in this state? Do I want to park here, or do I want to process whatever might have led me to come here, but I want to go over there? And, how do I do it? What am I going to do to get me from here to there? What works best for me? What might this be signaling for me? What's coming up for me? Not necessarily running from it, but sitting comfortably, even in those unpleasant feelings, because we could learn so much from our feelings and emotions when we allow ourselves to just sit and be curious. Easier said than done. And applying it all to our experience as leaders, talking about work experience. And then I thought, at what point of us calling these systems broken, becoming, sorry, let me redo this. At what point of us calling systems being broken, is it actually an excuse to inaction? And I see this personally so often. Like for instance, at my clinic, the word on the street is that the system is broken. We talk about it sometimes. Not like we gather in little pods and we don't do that. Well, sometimes we do that. But it comes up in conversation, as I think we realize we don't have what we need baseline many times to serve the patients at a high standard. And it frustrates us because we have to like MacGyver a lot, and uh even though we otherwise would have had the abilities to do so, the skill set, right? So it's like not utilizing us, not stewarding our our skill set even properly. But I at times get tired of the talk of broken systems, and that's why I went out and spoke about this early on the beach. My thing is enough with us putting a light on the problem or what we think is the problem to just highlight it's a problem. Let's keep that light on there, but let's use it in a way to examine. I just want to say the word right now, cross-examine. It's probably not applicable, but to really micro examine the different facets of the supposed problem again and start looking for unique, relevant ways that we could turn that problem as an opportunity to become our best work experience ever, taking back our agency. And I know that word in itself could be a trigger to some because you may feel like you don't have any agency. That's like the extreme way of putting it. I believe that all of us have agency, even when we are in positions or roles that are lower ranked. And I guess we have to answer to someone of higher authority. I still feel like we have agency. First and foremost, I feel like we have internal agency that despite what's happening out there outside of ourselves, we have the ability to do something that could shift the way we experience just being alive and in existence. Hmm. So, with that being said, hmm, with that being said, it's your turn now. The question I want to leave with you, because I feel like I'm full of questions today, and I just love that. I feel like, and one of my mentors say this often that having more questions than answers is actually a good place to be because it invites you to actually search for answers. And I'll add to that, create solutions to those questions rather than just thinking whatever. Like I have to answer and thinking that everything is perfect and unless it is, but thinking that, there's no way anything could be adjusted. It like limits innovation potential if you're not actively looking for new ways of doing things. That's not always the case. I try not to operate too much in extremes. So I want to ask you, where in your life, and if you want to take this back to your work experience, but where in your life are you labeling something as broken that may not be necessarily broken, but rather misaligned? And then What is one way that you could reclaim your agency or your ability to decide in a manner that would benefit you? So, what is one way that you could reclaim that power to begin forging your way to your best work experience yet? Or if we go back to the generalized life, your best life yet. And I want to, let me see if I could answer. Put myself on the spot here. All right. So, what was it? My brain is like, the question was, where have I been labeling something as broken in my life, but instead it could just be misaligned? Hmm, man, putting myself on the spot, like, don't do that again, hashtag. And I don't want to say like everything is perfect right now in my life and flowing. Okay, broken, broken, broken. Okay. It would come back down to my work experience where many times I'm not pleased with the way my clinic flows. It's very chaotic. And like I mentioned, I'm kind of like really chill energy, so I'm not, don't bring the drama, please. However, if I were to use that lens we spoke about earlier, what if it's not broken clinic flow? What if it is functioning as it is supposed to, where as needs come up urgently or emergently, interruptions do come in my day and my sense of concentration so that we can ensure urgent matters are handled urgently. All right, let's say that. All right, my next question was where is it that I could reclaim some sense of agency in such a scenario and set? Agency and chaos? Yeah, guys, like phone a friend about that one. Wouldn't I love to know? All right, let me take a second. Give me 1 second. Agency and chaos. I think the word boundaries is coming up for me. I think what I have been doing is asking my nurses because they're the ones to really have like first contact with the patients, especially like in urgencies, emergencies. I think it's a matter of voicing to them that, when I am actively seeing a patient, if it is not truly a medical emergency, if it's just because at times the way our clinic runs is that, if there is something that's not normal in, say, a blood pressure or a blood sugar reading, immediately go, or, immediately after you finish speaking to the patient, go and inform the doctor so that we are all responsible and ensure that, if there was need to escalate faster management, we could do so. But my thing is, there are many times that situations or cases are brought to us as physicians where it's not necessary for us to have been interrupted, when we break the flow of our thought dealing with a case, it's not fun. Just having like break interruption constantly. Sometimes it's like a train of nurses coming to inform you of something that's happening, or just to like get your assistance with something. And again, while this is how our clinic runs, sort of thing, I feel like to an extent, we have to come up with a better system, even because even if I think about it from the nurse's point perspective, I don't want to just, make this all about what I would want. It's all about, a happy workplace environment I feel for all, not just for me. That's what, my mission is anyway. I feel like we need to come up with a better communication system for letting, in my personal situation, the doctor know, hey, I have something I would like for you to eyeball in the dressing room. Or, hey, giving you an update on the blood pressure with the patient you wrote the treatment for earlier. Or, listen, there is someone out front and they are complaining about excruciating chest pain and their blood pressure is through the roof. Like that for sure. Please bust through those doors and come and get me. But for everything else, it's like, how is it that I should know you need me in the other room when I'm done, sort of thing, without interrupting my current rapport and flow with who I'm speaking to right now? Because it's not fair to the patient to have all these interruptions. And I apologize as much as I can because, it is the nature of medicine being so dynamic and demanding. But it's still not a good experience because, again, my concentration is broken, and sometimes the client's focus might be broken, so they may not get everything out to us that they intended to because they're distracted with the constant interruptions. Yeah, so I'm not gonna sit here and try and pen out what I think that communication system would look like. It's just a thought. But to have a boundary where, it allows for, at least the way I think, I'm a pretty, I want to say deep, like, uh, I'm not saying deep thinker, but I like to savor. I love to think and brainstorm so I could continue to create and flow, especially like when new thoughts come upon me. But for me, just as you're witnessing, as I build leadership longevity and what that looks like for me, what that means for me is I like to pause and allow the thoughts to interact with each other. And something is shaped and morphed, and then I say it. I don't want to just speak so fast that it doesn't take the time it needs to form. Sometimes it comes freely, sometimes I need a minute or a second to allow it to take shape. And I feel like I bring forth the best when I give myself permission to allow my thoughts to flow in a natural manner for myself and to be comfortable with the spaces in between and speaking. Even in speaking and coaching patients and friends, clients, for me to take on, I want to listen fully to you. I don't want to be listening to you and in my head, I'm just okay, I'm going to answer back with that. I'm going to answer. It's like, no, let me give you my full attention so that I could extract what your experience is and your concerns, your needs. And then I could allow myself to create with you something that would benefit you specifically. Yeah. And that I feel so vulnerable moment here. I feel like that's a major reason why I am just now getting started with my online presence, my visibility with what I've been building for so many years. I had this thought in my head watching, of course, masters at it. When they have their videos, they're just like da 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 da, and I'm like, I don't function that way, but I know that it will come to that point when I show up consistently and I do allow myself to just be on and speaking without editing. So I'm not editing any of my videos actually. I just be like, okay, let's back up a bit. Okay, let me try that again. And just being organic in my content creation. Like for instance, like I'm going to totally lean in some more on that primary and that secondary lens of work experience. And that primary is all about us, the leader, the human behind the leadership role. I love that. That feels so good to me right now. Listen. All right, guys. I hope you had this moment along with myself to think about new ways that we could start addressing the broken workplace systems that we work in such a manner that we take back our happy, we take back our health, and we are transformed. Happy, healthy, transform you guys. I'll see you guys soon.